Hello, you're watching D-Drive, the first ever auto show that takes you on roads beyond the source of these countries. In episode 2 of this show, we take a look at the development of Mercedes-Benz as the world's most successful car brand. It also interests you to know that Mercedes-Benz has just released its first ever X-Class double cabin pickup. That's very, very interesting. Mercedes-Benz has never had any pickup. This is the first time that the car brand, the German car automaker, is coming up with a double cabin pickup. We will take you through that development. I will also take you through the Paris Auto Show, which held from the 1st to the 16th October 2016, bringing to the stands hundreds of car enthusiasts. And to close this show, we also mourn with the people of Tanje, Tujereng and Batakunku on the recent car accident that claimed the life of 9 people and injuring many other people. We talked to the police PRO, Inspector Fode Konta, to shed more light on that tragic event.
At Mercedes-Benz, we've never been satisfied with resting on our laurels. Quite the opposite. For over 120 years, we've strived with utmost meticulousness and immense experience to set ourselves apart. To do this, one needs the courage to follow new paths. The passion to push oneself to the limit. And the will to be better with each day. It is about being ready for lifelong learning to continually surpass oneself. Committed to a tradition of excellence, where success stimulates the desire to better oneself time and time again, then as now.
Based on the popularity of my series, buying a 10 to 15-year-old Mercedes-Benz, I want to do another series on these older models, okay? I get a lot of requests, well, why don't you talk more about owning and buying some of these 20 to 35-year-old Mercedes? I know some of you are saying, well, why are you choosing 20 to 35? Well, we're going to talk about that in a little more detail in part 2 of this series. I'll explain why I've chosen those particular years, but for now I just want to introduce you to this series, kind of what we're going to cover, and talk a little bit about some of the cars you see here. You know, I'm not going to talk about every Mercedes-Benz here, okay, that was built from, you know, the 70s up through the mid-90s. We're talking specifically about drivers. These are cars that you can use as a daily driver. That's the criteria here. And I thought about calling it buying a 20 to 35-year-old Benz, but that doesn't cover it. I talked about owning a 20 to 35, that doesn't really cover it either. And then you've got the issue of maintaining or repairing a 20 to 35-year-old Mercedes. So we're going to try to cover all of that together in this series. But it's really important you understand we're talking about owning and maintaining one of these to be used as a daily driver. That's why some models won't be covered in this series. We're going to talk about some of the more popular ones, some of the things you have to go through when you go out to buy one, what you have to be careful for, how do you maintain it, how do you repair it yourself, because I'm going to tell you right off the bat, okay, there's a couple things here. If you don't learn to repair these yourself, then I recommend you don't own one, okay? And you may say, well, why? Why would you want one? Well, for one thing, these are very safe cars to drive. This is number one on my list. All three of my kids, all three of them started out driving older Mercedes 240Ds. That was the first car. I think a lot of times parents forget that some of the most dangerous times in your child's life are those first 2 or 3 years of driving. And you need to be really concerned about the types of cars you put your children in. And these old Mercedes, they're really safe cars, let me tell you. They are really safe cars. The other thing is just the pride of ownership. You know, the saving of resources, okay? As more and more of these cars go into the landfill, why not save some of them? They can be great drivers. Some of them are still quite fuel efficient, and if maintained properly, they can be very nice drivers, very comfortable cars for the age, okay? So I want to now, in this introduction, just take you down the row here, and we'll talk a little bit more about the cars you see here in detail. 3 seconds. For many of you old-time Mercedes enthusiasts, this is going to be like a walk down memory lane for you. I know for some of you new to these older Mercedes-Benzes, this might be a little educational. Remember, this is only an introduction. I'm just going to briefly show you each of these cars, and you'll be able to follow along and kind of see there are differences. Although if you look at this whole line here, you may think, man, these cars all look the same. But we're literally going from a 1976 all the way to the other end to a 1992. So that's quite a year range. And you know, I know some of you are doing your mental math saying, well, Kent, this is older than 35 years right here. And that's true. And that's kind of what I call this is the last model in that era that we're going to talk about in the series. Remember, the emphasis on driver. We're not talking collector cars. We're not talking sports cars. We're talking older Mercedes for drivers, okay? And this one right here has a rebuilt engine in it, little 4-cylinder diesel, very fuel efficient, and certainly not a hot rod. Then we're going to move up to the next one here. This is a W116 chassis. These big sedans were introduced in the U.S. market in 1973 and were built all the way up to 1980. And this is a monster. This has a 6.9-liter V8 engine in it. But these also came in smaller V8s. They came in 6-cylinder gas models. And in 78 to 80, they came with a 5-cylinder turbo diesel engine. Then moving on from the W116 chassis, I'm going to move over here and show you this first W123. Now the W123 was introduced in the US market in 1977, and this is probably the all-time favorite for daily driver for Mercedes-Benz. You still see a lot of these on the road. You're gonna say, yeah, I've seen these driving around town. I can't believe how many are driving around my hometown here. So this is a 1980 240D, 4-speed manual transmission. Very fuel efficient, very economical. This is probably, in my humble estimation, one of the best cars ever built of all time when you consider all factors like safety, reliability, longevity, maintenance, cost of operation per mile, and so on. Taxi cab drivers have loved these old 240Ds the world over. Now, a little bit later, 1981, this is a milestone for the W123. They introduced the turbo diesel 5-cylinder engine in the station wagons in the U.S. market in 1981. The station wagon, the 300 TD that you see here, is probably one of the most sought after older Mercedes-Benz on the market today. And they also had the turbo diesel in the W123 chassis here in the sedans. And then from 1982 to 1985, you could get the 5-cylinder turbo diesel. They stopped production in the U.S. on the 240D 4-cylinders, but these right here, these are a favorite the world over. The 1982 to 1985 turbo diesel 300D sedan. Now we're going to move on to the W126 chassis right here, which was introduced in the U.S. market in 1981. And this is a milestone car. This is a 1981 300 SD. So it's the bigger bodied S-Class model, and it has a 5-cylinder turbo diesel. Now they also built the 126s with other engines. We have another milestone car right over here, this silver one. This is my 1986 300 SDL, the SD meaning S-Class diesel, but L meaning long-bodied. This was the first year they introduced the 6-cylinder turbo diesel engine in the U.S. market. So this is a great road car right here. And then finally over here we have a 1990. Now you see we're moving up in the years. This is a 1990 300 SE, also a W126 chassis, but it has a 6-cylinder gas engine. 1991 in the U.S. market was the last year for the W126 before they went on to the W140 chassis. And this is a great car. People who like gas cars, this is a good one. You know, it has the fuel-efficient 6-cylinder gas engine, which is relatively easy to work on compared to some of the larger V8s.
Il y a une marque dont on parle presque jamais, ils vont croire qu'on est fâché alors que je l'aime beaucoup. On parle jamais.
The Paris Motor Show is the hottest event in the motoring calendar. It holds from October 1st to the 16th at the Paris Expo, Porte de Versailles. The show is heralded as the best auto concept of all times, and there is nothing to dispute that, for it claims more visits than any other event of this nature. It brought over 1 million people to the stands in 2014 alone. The aim of the organizers still is, as from the inception of the show in 1898, to have the public discover the diversity of car models. More than 200 models are then reunited in the Jardin des Tuileries by the French Automobile Club. France is presently way ahead many rivals in the auto industry. The event was a success in 1901 when it held under the glass dome of the Grand Palais, where it held many more years later until 1961. In a history spanning 5 decades, the show witnessed the unveiling of renowned brands like Citroën, Peugeot, and Renault. After a relatively slow summer, the question being asked, is the automobile industry sort of a design, a new concept? But no, Car makers have gone all out to introduce the cars that matter, everything from tiny city cars to giant SUVs within the walls of the exhibition center, with a liberal sprinkling of insane hypercars and futuristic concepts. The list includes Nissan Micra. The all-new Micra Super Mini is aiming to get back on track. Many fun-free activities took center stage at the Paris Motor Show, such as a space for reflection upon new energies, an automobile treasure exhibition, a cars track for children, electric and hybrid vehicle test tracks, as well as a toy sports and classic cars auction sale. An original highlight of this year's Paris Motor Show is the exhibition Automobile and Cinema. A real cinema studio is reconstituted staging the most mythical cars, track races, science fiction cars, secret agents automobiles, etc., etc. In this segment of the show, Road Safety, I have with me Inspector Fode Konta, the police PRO. Mr. Konta is here to talk about the road accident that happened on Friday, 5th November 2016. Mr. Konta, it was a tragic day for the people of Bata, Kunku, Tujereng, and Tanje. How did that happen?
Friday, the 4th of November 2016, this beautiful country of the Gambia was greeted with a serious, sorrowful road traffic accident, which claimed lives of innocent people. This accident, like you stated, it happened between Tanje and Brufut, which involves a passenger van, VW, with registration number BJL 8579J, and a truck. This is a Volvo truck, which with a registration number of BJL 9420K. The passenger van was coming from Tanje N to Brufut, whilst the truck was coming from Brufut to the Tanje N. And such a sudden at the bend between Tanje and Brufut, this accident happened. And the manner it happened, we the police, we would call it rash and negligence act. Because of course the driver said, the truck driver said, the tires of the truck busted, which forced him to sway off the route. In swaying off the route, he tried to, come back, control the vehicle to come back on track. But unfortunately, it went to the wrong side of the route when the van driver was also coming. Then they collided. But looking at the seriousness of the accident, one would believe that this is caused due to overspeeding. Because the impact was too serious. The impact was too much. That almost everybody, all those people in the van, had to lose their lives on the spot.
How many of them?
On the spot, 8 people lose their lives. And the 9th one was pronounced dead at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul. So only 3 people were able to make it or to made it as at yesterday. As at yesterday. Today we haven't got any news of the other 3 yet.
So basically, we are talking about 12 deaths on the accident. From the accident, I mean, was it 12 or 14? Contrary to report on social media, it was 14 people that were said to have died on that accident.
No, I think this is misinformation. Exactly. In the passenger van, there were only 10 passengers. 10 passengers. Okay. Okay. Then the 11th and the 12th persons were the driver and the conductor, that is the apprentice. Okay. Okay, which made it 12. 12. Okay. So 9 of those who died include the driver and the apprentice. Then the 3 just passengers. Okay. To make it 12. And also contrary to reports, I'm just doing this to clarify the air because I know Gambians believe so much on rumor. According to early reports stated that the truck was parked on the road on the other side of the road because of the punctured tire. But you are saying that the truck was on the road also coming. Exactly. So basically, what is that telling us about Gambian, our traffic laws? Yeah, for people to rumor of the truck being parked on the side of the road, I will tell you that it never happened that way. Okay. Okay. This truck was moving. Okay. It was moving, and the van was also moving. Okay. And we believe they were all on high speed. That's okay. They were never. The truck was never parked. Okay. So, okay. And coming to the traffic laws and regulations, the Gambia Police Force is trying to put so many things in place. There are so many things in the oven that are yet to come to make sure that road traffic in the Gambia is safe and secure for everybody. Well, viewers, that does it for this week's D-Drive. I mean, that's a new segment, of course, called Road Safety, in which we will be having now Inspector Fode Konta weekly to talk about traffic issues. Not basically accidents only, but anything that matters on Gambian roads. I mean, be it something that we need to do on our traffic to minimize accidents, some things that we can do on our traffic to control the way drivers drive, or something that we can do to make sure that the police effectively enforce traffic laws of the Gambia. I mean, if you've been watching, that is D-Drive for this week. Until we meet again next week, bye-bye, and thank you very much for watching.